So the material I decided to use for the boxes on the frames is I decided to use hardwood maple. It's pretty on the pricey side, but I just wanted something that wasn't going to expand and contract much, and something that was a hardwood and it would be really hard. It would be hard to nick. So maple was it. It was expensive, but in the grand scheme of van builds, I mean, it's not. If you're doing it yourself, it's still cheaper than some of these high-end vans, and you'll have a nice product when you're done. But I always like to square off the ends before I even measure. So step one, change out your blade to a nice finished blade and square off the edge. Square off the factory end first, because they're never really good for making frames. You always want to square them off. Okay. Alright, so I got all my pieces cut. Ended up doing 55.5 overall. So now I gotta use a table saw and cut them down to the width that I need. So I'm kind of matching the boards up so the grain kind of falls, and how I'm doing that is to make sure I cut the right size. I'm just kind of, these are going to rest on top after, and they're going to screw through the bottom. But what I'm doing is I'm just kind of like tilting them forward. This is going to be the front edge of the box. This is the finished edge. The back edge is like the rough edge. So I'm just kind of putting these at a little angle, and I'm just making like a little mark. You can just erase it later. But that just helps me know which side is gonna get cut off for the angle. So there's my angle piece. I've got my saw kind of at 5 degrees, as you can see right there. It's not really good lighting in here, but basically, so I'm gonna cut this edge off. So I'm gonna flip it like this. I'm gonna leave my saw in the same position. I'm gonna basically take from this feathered edge here, and I'm gonna go over there and cut off this edge, and then I'm just going to slide the piece down and do the same here. So that way I'm not moving the wood, I'm not flipping the wood, and I'm not moving the saw. That way I know I've got the two cuts directly how they should be, because it's easy to mess up. Like I said, I'm just sliding the piece down like so. And I'm just going to cut my edge. Now I could have cut these the length using the 5 degrees, but I already had everything cut because I was planning on making a straight box. But then got to looking at it, and you need to cut these at an angle so it flares up with the side of the van, and so that it's going to look uniform when it's done. You'll see. And I'm marking these so I can, you know, when I take it apart to like drill and everything else, I make sure I get them back together right. I know which one goes where, so I'm just going to do something like this. That way I know they'll go right back together. Alright, so I got the other flare all cut, trimmed in. As you can see, I kind of carried the grain. It's a different piece of wood, but I kind of carried the grain anyway. And then kept this nice grain for the bottom that you'd like normally see in the van when the bed's not in there, so it'll look kind of nice. And then carried the grain up through here, you know, just to make it look nice. And as you can see, this is a side profile. And like I said, now I'm going to drill the tops. Probably don't need to do a ton of screws, probably just going to do like 2 each, maybe 3 if I get rowdy. Then I will make the back panels, cut them, and probably poly these. And while I'm waiting for these to dry, I'll upholster the back panels, get them ready to go. All right, I'm just kind of pre-drilling these with a drill bit and a countersink, and I'm using these self-tapping screws. I had a carpenter buddy that taught me a while ago that these things work great for just making frames. I don't have any wood glue right now, but I'll probably just assemble them, then unscrew them, glue them, and then screw everything back together. I'm just trying to get it so it's a rigid frame so I can work with it. Definitely want to pre-drill hardwood because it's a pain if you don't. After you've pre-drilled, you can take the self-tapping screw, you can kind of get in here and you can go reverse to heat the screw up a little bit. And then go forward and sink right in. And there she goes. Alright, so I got the boxes built pretty much all screwed, countersunk together. Now I'm just loosening up the screws and I'm just giving it a little wood glue. Just for a little extra security. And I'm just tightening back up. And I just got a wet rag or a paper towel to wipe up the excess wood glue, like so. And I'll just do that to all the sides and then get to coating them. All right, so I got them pretty much glued and screwed. Now I'm just gonna sand them with some 220. Just take off the sharp edges here. I already got this one done and it's a lot nicer. Just smooth out the edges a little bit. 220 doesn't take a lot of meat off, so it'll just round off the corners just a little bit. Now that I get them all sanded, I'm just going to hit them with a tack cloth real quick. The 220 is just really nice. It gives the wood just a real soft feeling, especially maple. That's why I love it so much. Just gives it this really soft touch feel to the wood. And then when you finish it, it just comes out awesome. And it's easy to work with because you don't take off too much material with a 220 grit. So it's hard to screw it up. Alright, for my finish coat, I'm just using an oil modified water-based poly, just like I used on the shelves. For the bases, I use like 1/4 inch maple ply. So these are maple too, so it should give a good look, and the poly will bring out some of the wood finish. And I'll just do a coat of this on all of it, and then I'll sand it with the 220 again, and then take the tack cloth off. I'll probably do 2-3 coats of this stuff. It's pretty thin, so. Alright, so I got 3 coats of water-based poly on this, on the frames. Just kind of letting that dry. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go out and cut the backers, which we're going to upholster and probably finish nail onto the back of each one of these frames. So like in other videos, just using 1/4 inch birch plywood, and I'm going to cut them out and then we'll just upholster them. All right, just like with my shelf there, the overhead storage there in the front, I'm gonna upholster these using 1/4 inch foam, just marking out where I'm gonna spray, Just using 3M90 as usual. I got my little roller. So I'll spray, I'm just marking out so I don't waste glue basically. And I will spray both surfaces, and then I'll let them get tacky and then adhere them to each other. And then we'll put the upholstery on top. I got both surfaces coated. I'm just gonna wait for that to tack up, and then I'll squish it down and roll it out. So if you hit this with your finger and it comes off with you like that, that means it needs more time. You should be able to touch it and it should be tacky, but it shouldn't come off, like it shouldn't make strings, you know what I mean, as you pull it. So you gotta wait till it tacks up. Especially you're gonna have to wait longer if it's cooler out, which it is right now. It's like 55 degrees. All right, join the two pieces together, and I'm just rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. A couple spots where it didn't adhere, so I'll spray a little bit more on there. Like the corner here. Not that it matters too much because I'm going to be tacking this onto the back of the frame, but better safe than sorry. Alright, so I got the foam all on there. Now I'm going to take the tweed fabric and basically repeat the same thing. I'm just going to mark this out so I don't waste glue. It's kind of hard to see because it's dark fabric, but I should be able to see it somewhat. And then I'll leave it a little bit long so you might be able to spray the edges and kind of wrap it around the back. And yeah, use the 3M90 and do both sides again and get it going. Just like before, just spray the 3M90 on both surfaces. I like to spray on the foam first, kind of though, because it takes longer for it to adhere to the foam for some reason. It stays like wet longer on the foam. You don't want to put it too thick on the foam because then it sticks. Doesn't stick as good. Alright, so I've got this panel upholstered, so now I'm just going to grab the frame, I'm going to put it on, and I'm going to brad nail it onto the back of my frame. Alright, so I got my box face down, got the panel on the back with the upholstery facing forward, and I'm just going to brad nail it on. I'm going to do one edge because it's a little out of square. I'm thinking about trying to make it perfect, but I don't know how crazy I'm gonna go. You always want to go perpendicular to the piece of wood that you're shooting into, because the nails tend to shoot this way and that way. So if you have it like this, your nail might come right out and ruin your project. So I'm gonna nail this edge first. That's how it looks with the upholstered panel nailed back onto the frame. Came out pretty good, I think. Now I'm going to do the other one. Alright, so I got the box pretty much done. I drilled some holes on the bottom here, and then I mounted a angle iron to the top just with small little screws. as so you won't see them on the bottom. And now I'm going to mount it. All right, so to mount this, I had to undo this, and I preloaded some T-nuts on the bottom, and I preloaded some T-nuts on the back side of the cabinet. Now I'm just gonna slide the box in there like so. Easier said than done. Alright. Alright, I'm just gonna lift this up like so. Slide this in and remount it. Of course, this stupid thing is dropping down on me. Tighten that back up. That's up in there. Now let's mount this box in place. Alright, so I got one box mounted. I don't have the right hardware yet, didn't show up yet, but I just stuck these in there for now just to hold it in there in place. But you know, once I get these mounted, it'll be pretty solid. But up here is like kind of finishes off nice using that angle iron. I don't know if you can see, but using that aluminum angle here kind of finishes it off nice and makes it look finished. And it's strong, 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 strong. I will probably put some, like, you know, panels over here to make it look a little bit more finished, but you know. So for this side, I've got a piece of plywood that's going to go up there, and I'm just going to kind of screw it into the walls. I don't feel the need to put plus nuts in this stuff. The sheet metal screws will hold good, self-drilling. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll use angle iron, and then I'll screw through the angle iron with some same kind of tech screws there, and that'll hold this one in place. And then I'll kind of put an upholstered panel over the top of that, make it look finished. Just like the other side, this box I'm doing a little bit different because I'm just mounting the plywood, but I'm still putting this so it's behind the plywood. So, and I'm going to screw through the plywood into this angle, and then I'll catch it and hold it. It'll mount this box, and then I'll screw through the bottom, obviously. So I'm just going to mark this and cut it. I'm going to drill a bunch of holes in it, and then I'm going to mount it with the small tech screws on the top, just like last time. Now I'm just going to mark all these holes, and I am going to pre-drill them a little bit because it is hardwood. Obviously, I don't want to go all the way through, so I'm going to be very ginger. Just going in like 3/8 of an inch, just to give a little pre-drilling. I'm just using these T-nuts, putting these in. I kind of marked them where they were going, but I'm just putting these to drop in T-nuts so I can mount through the bottom. I took the plywood out, mounted these, mounted on the bottom. Like I said, these aren't the right hardware. I just put them in there to hold the T-nuts in place till I get the right hardware. You know, the Amazon one-day delivery said, now it says 3. So now that I've got this on, I'm gonna suck this back, and then we're gonna screw through this. So we're gonna put this plywood up like so. I already screwed it on, so all the holes should be pretty much where I want them. And then I'll just re-screw this on with all the tech screws. So now I'm just screwing the plywood back on, and then I will screw through the plywood into that angle iron I put onto the box. and then I'll mount it. Alright, so here we are at the back of the van, and this is the finished product of the box that I put in. And I ended up making that bracket behind here that I kind of screwed from the back side and then mounted that to the actual steel of the van. And then what I did was I kind of drilled through and put T-nuts on top of this bed rail. And if you haven't seen the bed video, I'll leave a link at the top. But what I did was basically put T-nuts and secured the box with these, I think they're M6 or M8 stainless screws here. And it looks pretty good. Like, it just has those 3 mount points, and then everything else is pretty much just a finish edge of maple. And then, as you guys saw, I upholstered the middle with the 1/8 inch foam, and then I used this umbrella fabric. But then what I did is I went ahead and, you know, finished around the edges. I just added T-nuts or rib nuts back into the metal to mount this stuff on top of the upholstered panels. And then basically, once I mounted the frame, the boxes that I mounted with the, you know, the aluminum L channel, I just kind of put these upholstered panels over it to kind of give it a nice finished look, as you can see. So yeah, ultimately, I like the way it came out. And just so you know, if it wasn't clear earlier in the video, the cuts on this are exactly 5 degrees because the van kind of tapers in as it goes up, and it tapers in about 5 degrees. So if you set your miter saw to like 5 degrees, you can almost make this box kind of perfect. And then you can add that angle bracket on the top, run it all the way across, and then you can screw through that, boom, into the side of the van. Then you can just kind of upholster panels on top of it, and this is the result. And the bunkie board actually rolls out, and the mattress sits in here as well. It's a full-size mattress, and it fits perfectly. The other side you can't really see too much because I basically just fill in this box with all my pillows, and this is my comforter, and then I just use bungees, and then this is the bunkie board that rolls out on top of the scorver brackets to make my bed. So this is how the other side looks, and it's basically just a little bit shorter of a box, but it still allows, like, this is where my feet go on this side, and then on this side is obviously where our heads go. But still, even though this is, like, you know, only about, it's 1x5 or 1x6, you do have to be careful. Once you have a 4-inch mattress in here, and you have a pillow, you have to be careful not to, you know, smack your head on that because it is tight. But overall, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. But yeah, overall, super kind of stoked how they came out. I think it came out pretty professionally. I really like the, you know, I'm kind of a sucker for maple and how it finishes and how it looks once you know, really sand it down, you stain it, and you kind of go with the grain and stuff like that. So I'm really stoked and happy and how it came out, and I kind of love the way it looks with the upholstery. So let me know what you think down in the comments. As always, hit that like, hit the subscribe, and if you enjoy this content and you appreciate it, consider joining the Patreon. It goes a long way to support creators nowadays. Just being able to, you know, give us a little something to keep the motivation going, and the materials and the camera equipment and all that. All right, thanks for watching. Peace out.